Hello, listeners. This is Lee Price.
This is Will Ford from Football 365.
And you're listening smartly to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast, although I would describe it as the Chelsea FC podcast.
Magical from Eden Hazard. Kai Havertz in the Champions League final. Ivanovic! Yes. In the middle, it's just behind him. But it's tapped in by Higgins here. Matic with the ball driver. Matic takes the net off. Hat-trick hero. Cole Palmer wins an epic, sensational game.
It's time for another episode of At the Bridge Pod, your number one Chelsea FC podcast. Coming up on this episode...
If I could sum this episode up in 3 words, I would say trophy, Delap, Chris. Oh, welcome back everyone to another episode of At the Bridge Pod, and I am joined in the virtual room filled with some lions. Got more than Chris this time. Oi, listener, shut up. Don't cheer that. I heard you. We're going to get on that. It's the Friday show on a Thursday, and the question, what are you looking forward to this weekend? Oh, I didn't introduce who's here. We got Ollie and Chris. What am I doing? See, we win a trophy. Goes to shit. My mind out in the gutter. But Ollie, you haven't been on in a while. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's nice to be back. I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what I'm doing this weekend, and also a few of my highlights of while I've been away as well. Soon, my highlight of the weekend is going to be that I'm heading back up to Toronto for a couple of days with my wife. To spend a couple of days. We flew down to Niagara Falls for holidays. So we stayed there for a night, but that was really just a stop off. And we came down to Miami, where me and my wife have been spending the last little while with our family. And then we're, like I said, we're going back up to Toronto. But, done some really cool stuff while I'm here. Lots of sun, lots of sea. Went to go see Inter Miami play. Obviously got to see Messi, the GOAT, play. Absolutely brilliant. Got myself a shirt because, you got to when you're in the stadium. It's a fashion accessory these days, an Inter Miami shirt. Also enjoyed listening to everyone absolutely rip the shit out of Chris on the podcast. Getting a few pelters there. It's what happens when all I'm saying is, people say I interrupt, but this is what happens when I'm not there to interrupt. So, right. Yeah, but it's been really nice, and I'm pleased to be back. Don't know if I'll be around on Monday if I'm traveling, but I will certainly be around on the Friday after that. So, don't worry, listeners, I'm back.
That's when we do the prediction reveal. Monday is the awards. But Chris. What are you looking forward to?
Well, nothing as glamorous as Ollie. I'm going to an escape room this weekend with some people from work, and I've never done an escape room, so that'll be an experience.
I really want to hear about how that goes on Monday.
Yeah,
I will let you know.
All right,
I'll still be in there.
Remote Chris. Personally, I have no idea what I'm doing this weekend. I do know I'm baking my own raspberry and white chocolate frosted cookies, so people can check out my baking page for those. What I do also know, though, is I'm still going to try and do my games of the weekend. I'm going to try, even though it's going to be weirder because club football's sort of shutting down for a bit now, sort of, but there's lots of football to come. So Saturday, I've got 10:40 a.m. Very precise. Because we've got the Melbourne derby. We've got Melbourne City versus Melbourne Victory in the A-League men's final. Winner takes it all. Loser probably still gets some brunch based on the time of the kickoff. Well, for us anyway. I'm actually hyped for this because it's the first time we've ever had a Melbourne derby in the A-League men's final. So that's going to be special. And then, of course, it's the big one, the footballing main course, the Champions League final, PSG versus Inter Milan at 8 p.m. This is the blockbuster, isn't it? This is the popcorn moment. You don't dare touch the remote fixture. Someone's legacy is getting written. That's what's going to happen. Is it going to be Inter Milan? Is it going to be PSG? You'll find out at, probably about 10-ish p.m. Yeah.
And if you don't like that, I'm sure in a couple of weeks the Dog and Pheasant will be playing the Red Lion on Saturday on a Sunday, and whatever. So
a series,
there's
best
plenty
of 7
good football to come.
But on Sunday, set your alarms or don't sleep. 3:30 a.m. We find out whether LAFC or Club America get the pleasure of playing Chelsea in the Club World Cup group stage. Everyone's forgot about that. It's so close. And yeah, double season vibes, baby. Yeah. And of course, rounding off the weekend at a sensible time of 3 p.m, National League playoff final, Oldham, Southend. One ticket to League Two's up for grabs. So there you go.
Ooh, that's a big game, that.
It is.
One of the most expensive games. Well, like, you know, in terms of like valuable games, that's what I mean. One of the most valuable games in the English football pyramid. A lot on the line.
And at least one midfielder that's probably older than my car. Yeah. Right. Before I've looked forward to this. Before we dive into the news, we do Shevva shoutouts. Of course we do. Spotify comments were a little busy on Monday. I've never had that many. So we always read them out, but I've put them into categories and asked ChatGPT to organize them because we had like 30 and I just couldn't. If I read them out, the whole episode would be this and no one would be talking about the Conference League final. We got to get to that. So I asked ChatGPT to summarize it and they gave me the headline, the good, the bad, and the Chris. Like, Chris knows this. I told him. It's beautiful what they did. Right. So we've got love and other disagreements. So this is the positive parts. Alex Lassiter. Just want to say the match recaps so eloquently written. Well done, Mikey. Long-time listener. Best Chelsea pod out there. By the way, thank you for that. AJ, keep the blue flag flying high. Chris, I fucking love you. Never change. Swaggerdactyl, I usually agree with Chris, but felt he was a bit harsh. Let the lads celebrate. They earned it. L House 75, I'm right with you, Chris. Don't want to celebrate like North London bottlers. Alex Lassiter again, been part of my weekly routine for years now. Always looking forward to that fire intro up the Chelsea. And Josh, if we lose, I'll be happy not having to watch Road to Raw Claw again. Right, so those are the positives. We got divided opinions on Chris. Bit spicy. And so criticism. Peyton, Chris sucks. I won't.
Good start.
I won't keep listening if he's that negative every episode. Josh, loved the pod until this episode. Constant negativity ruined it. Samuel,
honestly,
this episode
in the nicest way possible. What stops someone from logging off so far?
Oh, I don't know.
Chris was himself. He's unapologetically himself.
Exactly. Samuel, this episode was not it. The get off my lawn energy was disturbing. Ali, Chris, you used to be my favourite. Now you sound like a miserable old man. Cam, negativity is really bringing the pod down. Look forward, not backward. Shazad, started listening. Chris moaning, stop listening. And Hugh T, loved the pod, but the negativity was unbearable. There was some support, though, for you, Chris. We had Wesley. Chris is more on point than the rest. We celebrate trophies, not top four. Yuri, spot on, Chris. Standards have gone. William, you're not crazy, Chris. This season wasn't reassuring. And Azza, well bloody said, Chris. There was another funny Saki one. We had KP saying Chris is the meme old man yells at Cloud. And Ed Woodall, who said Chris who hurt you.
Maresca is the answer to that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Shout out Cam as well. He did put in as well. The host is great. Constantly lifts the mood. Boom! Someone noticed me. Go on, Chris.
It's nice. We have Chris, we have Ollie, we have Berth, and the host.
You're the host. Oh God! Come on, Chris.
Chris, you got to defend your honour here, man. What's going on?
Brutal.
To be honest, I'm not that bothered. People have different opinions, and that's fine. My stance is once you start over celebrating mediocre achievements based on the size of the club that you are, that's when your standards drop too much, and that's what I don't want to happen. I completely respect other people's opinions of let them do it, fine, that's your opinion, but I'm on here giving my opinion. The only one that actually really annoyed me was the one that sort of insinuated that it's scripted and I'm doing this on purpose.
We can promise you
that.
Mikey and Berth especially know Chris much really well.
No.
This is who he is. Well, I promise you, every single day of his entire life, this is who Chris is, which is great. Chris, and do you know what, and I really appreciated your view actually on the over celebrating, because it kind of differed to my own, and I wanted to actually sound out an idea to you here. So, because I'm completely with you in terms of like the size of the club we are and things like that. We shouldn't be over celebrating stuff like top four, because at the end of the day, it's not a trophy, is it? But would you say there is some cause for celebration, or maybe even, dare I say, over celebration, based on like the context of the club since Clearlake took over, the takeover and everything, Roman being pushed out of the club, all of that? Like, they tried to kill us as a club. So are we like, or are you saying like, save that kind of over celebration for when a trophy really comes?
Yeah, save it for a trophy, a first real achievement, and mainly because I would understand the argument of what happened to the club if that was the reason we was in this situation. But aside from the government making Abramovich sell, it's actually Clearlake's fault that we are where we are. It's not the government's fault. They took over and fucked it. If they'd come in and just done what Abramovich done, no one would be talking about it. But they didn't. They come in and they try to change everything, and they've took us backwards. And then I just don't think we should over celebrate the fact that the owners took us backwards to a point where we were begging for Champions League football and then massively celebrating because we got it. And,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And like I said to Mikey, I would understand a more over the top celebration if we was a big club who had a massive fall from grace, where, yes, okay, we won the Champions League, but then for 5 to 8 years, we wasn't in it at all, and we kept finishing 10th, 9th, 8th. That wasn't the case. We was out the Champions League for 2 seasons. It's been 2 years, not 20.
And it feels longer, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, that's what I said on the pod. To be fair, it feels like longer because those 2 years was fucking horrendous. But it was, in reality, it was only 2 seasons out of the Champions League. Yeah. Like, I didn't have a massive issue with the on-pitch celebrations. The dressing room videos was the one that did it for me.
I knew that would piss you off.
Yeah, that was the one where I think it went from celebrating to over celebrating.
There we go, listener. There we go. And I know people.
Interesting to see the nuance in it, because I think a lot of people heard what you said, Chris, and just went, "Oh, Chris is a grumpy old fuck who doesn't want happiness in his life." Just trying to tease out where that kind of concept actually differs from what people were thinking.
Right. Time for our own Shevva shout out, because as the curtain has fallen on another wild Chelsea season, it is that time again where we launch our end of season survey. It's our 3rd edition, and it's your chance to tell us exactly what you think about the podcast, the good, the bad, and the Chris, apparently. So yeah, we generally do read every single response, hence like the Shevva shout out. So, and more importantly, we do act on them. And if you think, do you? Yes, because thanks to your feedback last year, listeners, we introduced the dedicated segment to cover the women's team, and it's one of our favourites to record. So don't underestimate.
And I think the year before as well is when we started introducing winners and losers from that.
Yes,
so
that is true.
We really do take on your suggestions. If you've got any good ones, do the survey, put them in there.
Yeah, don't underestimate your voice, because it might just inspire the next big idea or the next silly quiz we do. So yeah, help shape the future of the pod. We've posted the link on our Discord, where we will have once this episode goes live. It's on Twitter, Instagram, and the episode description. So hit the link, fill it in, be part of the squad that builds something special. That's what I say. And with that, I get to hit the news. It's that time of the week, checking out the news that you may have missed in the elevator with Chelsea news. Chelsea are currently in concrete talks over Hugo Ekitike and would like to complete the deal as quickly as possible. RB Leipzig have put an asking price of 92.5 million on Benjamin Sesko. Marseille are considering a move for Benoit Badiashile. Sonia Bonpastor has been named the Barclays WSL Manager of the Season at the LMA Awards. Chelsea earned 169.5 million in Premier League prize money this season. And finally, Bonnie Blue was ejected during Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea game. She was removed after reports that her social media promoted filming explicit content with fans during the game, violating the stadium's family-friendly policy. It's all over Reddit. Right.
It turns out Bonnie is a blue.
Funnily enough, I do actually get to already go, which was lovely that I get to hit breaking news, because we had huge breaking news literally about an hour or two ago from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano that Chelsea have activated their 30 million release clause for Liam Delap, son of Rory. Personal terms have been agreed. It's a fully done deal. And I actually have a mini scout report featuring positives and negatives regarding Liam Delap's game profile, because there's no chance we're doing a scout report this summer based on all the shit we're going through with the Club World Cup. And I did a Kieran Dewsbury Hall and I got belittled for it. Overall, though, before I go into our quick positives and negatives I've got in front of me, how did you react to that? Because it wasn't really a shock, but it also, we weren't guaranteed.
So I'm going to go first here before I hear Chris's opinion, because I know what it's going to be. And I think mine's a bit different. I do like this signing. I don't love it in isolation. I think Delap is a good player, maybe not a great player. I think he'll be good squad depth for 30 million in terms of the release clause. I think it's a good price. And now he's a player that's got some Premier League experience. He's a different profile to what we need as well. He's a bit of a brute, bit rough and tumble. That's kind of more of what we need than more of these kind of like hybrid winger striker. Is he what? Is he not? I don't know. So it's nice to have a proper sort of like no nonsense kind of number 9 who's willing to get his hands dirty, or I guess his feet dirty. And yeah, I think ultimately there's enough there. I think as long as our other business is also helpful in terms of attack, that this is a good signing. But maybe in isolation, it's a bit harder to call.
Go on, Chris.
I agree. My stance on Delap has been from the start that as a backup for the price and his age profile, good signing. Coming in as a number 1, definitely not. He doesn't elevate the team. So it's another Dewsbury Hall.
Oh, I'd say he's better than him.
He's better than that.
He's better than him.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Yeah, but this player's been Premier League proven at Premier League level. Well, yeah. Yes.
Okay. So he's scored 12 goals this season.
He has.
2 of them were penalties. So take the penalties off because he won't take penalties for us. So he scored 10 goals in 39 games in the Premier League. That's 1 in 4.
Oh, hold up. 39 games of the Premier League season?
Yeah. He's played. No. I
was going to say, what?
In his career, he's made 39 appearances in the Premier League.
All right.
He's scored 10 goals. 1 in 4. No one is getting excited over a striker who scored 1 in 4.
I think.
But do you think he's going to start every game for us, though?
Well, that's what I mean. I honestly think
to say.
It could be a really good signing if we sign a number 1 striker.
I feel we will. I mean,
I think as a backup, he could be brilliant.
I think it depends, doesn't it? And that's kind of what I was saying in terms of like, I think in isolation it's a good signing, but it could be better or worse based on the other deals we do in the summer.
Exactly.
I mean, why he might be a gem, positives and negatives, of course. I'm very fair here. He's 1.85 meters of pure chaos. He's built like a fridge freezer with legs, and he's not afraid to slam into defenders. He is a traditional number 9. He's think Erling Haaland, but more feral. That's probably the best way of describing it. And his work rate is apparently, this is the description I found. He's a buzzing bee. That's what defenders have called him. So he's got constant pressing, he's running, he's agitating the players. He doesn't give centre-backs a moment's peace. And we've had players like that before, and we've loved them. And like that particular player I'm hinting at, he loves contact. Probably has a tab open for his shoulder-to-shoulder montages as well as his goals. But he, like Chris has said about his goals, he got 12 goals this season from 9.02 XG. So that's obviously scoring more above the expected. So he's not wasting chances. That's a positive in this Chelsea team. And he scored tap-ins, he scored penalties. I know we've got Palmer, but still, we've got edge of the box finishes, physical runs through defences. That's a good Swiss Army knife sort of style to have. And he scored in 3 of Ipswich's 4 league wins. So clearly he was crucial there. The useful data points. Oh, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, because you mentioned Palmer there, and of course, one element that I think people might be overlooking a little bit is I don't think he'll need very long to adjust. He's worked with Maresca before. He's worked with Palmer before. He's worked with Lavia before. He knows a lot of the lads. He knows the coach. So hopefully he'll be able to hit the ground running.
Yeah, he's the useful data points, if you want to know, listener: 2.31 shots per game, 1.4 successful dribbles per game, 3.68 touches in the opponent box per game, 1.75 fouls won per game. So, and that is for a struggling relegated side with, let's be honest, limited attacking play, because that's not, Ipswich tried it, you get the idea. The IQ side, he's been called football smart and incredibly receptive by Kieran McKenna. So he clearly is coachable, he clearly can improve. He's obviously already represented England at every youth level up to the under-21s. Obviously, he's recently trained with the senior squad. I think the 30 million release clause for a player of his skill set, Premier League proven all that. That's very good business.
Here's the real question though. He scored 2 goals in his last 13 games.
No denying that.
Which isn't brilliant by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
If last summer someone had said, "Will you pay 30 million for Liam Delap?" You wouldn't have touched him. Most people wouldn't even have known who he was.
Yeah.
He's had one okay season. So, again, I don't think it's a terrible signing because the price. And let's face it, 30 million now, you're getting a championship player for 30 million if you're lucky.
Well,
but I just think, again,
well,
people seem to think that he's going to come in, and because he's scored 12 goals for Ipswich and we create more chances, he'll get 20 goals. How often does that actually translate?
Yeah, you are spot on.
But when you put it that way, he only has to score 8 more goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing, it's a good Premier League sample size.
But you look at Ipswich, there isn't a single team Ipswich would have played this season who would have sat back. Not one. So how does he do against defences that are camped on the edge of their 18-yard box?
Yeah,
we don't know.
We'll be waiting to see. Yeah, I guess so. But I guess at the same time, you look at for example, I know Everton, for example, were really interested in potentially getting someone like Delap. Say he makes that move before he makes a big move, right? Yeah, and we're getting him for 30 million off his release clause, which is great because otherwise, if our sporting directors were negotiating, we'd be paying triple that probably.
Yeah.
So if he goes to Everton and he kicks on, then you're talking 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million for this player who, for 30 million, probably worth a punt now, wouldn't you say?
Correct.
Yeah,
100%.
And it's one of them, isn't it, where he could quite easily turn out to be another Cole Palmer, where you're looking back at it in 12 months' time saying, well, 30 million was a bargain.
Yeah.
But it could be
equally, he could fall off completely. Yeah.
Well, I've got the negatives. We've got to obviously be fair. Disciplinary issues. No striker in the league had more yellow cards. And obviously that means he loves a tackle. Maybe a bit too much. That could lead to a costly suspension. Could. So you kind of got Rooney's aggression in there a little bit. A blessing and a curse because it can make you a very good... Look at Costa. Played on the edge. Man on the edge he was. And it worked. You've got to keep it. He's known for like bulldozing into defenders. And when it works, it's amazing. Also, people could say that's reckless. So that could be a liability. You've got to be you don't want to coach that out of him because that makes him who he is. Like Costa, if you removed that edge from Costa, would he be as good? No, I wouldn't say he would be because that's what made Costa Costa. That's why we loved him. And,
he was a handful.
Yeah. And it's that fine line between passion and madness. You've got to balance it because it can hurt you in a big game. Costa owned it. I think only at Wolves, wasn't it, that he got a red card in the Premier League?
Yeah,
I think it was only in Wolves.
I don't think he ever got a red in the Prem. I think he got a red in a cup game for us once. That might have been that game you're talking about.
I'm straight red card against Brentford. It said for Wolves. So
he never got sent off for us, did he?
I don't think so. No, and
that's amazing.
Chris is spot on. It is a one full top flight season under his belt. That is impressive. I found it impressive. But it is a leap. You're going from Ipswich to Chelsea. That is a leap,
And his championship record was awful.
Well, and, there's another thing that again, not being negative, even though this is negative, just got to be realistic. He has been a start in a low possession counter-attack side. How's he going to handle in a team that dominates the ball? That's the thing.
Well, and also, he's a big fish in a small pond at Ipswich. Now he's coming into a much bigger pond.
This is the
so
pressure.
You've got to see how
big...
Yeah, it's a lot more pressure. And
sink or swim,
strikers... Yeah, for strikers, that is everyone knows Chelsea and strikers. It's a pressure cooker environment. You either sink or swim, and so and that's you can never really 100% tell which way these kind of striker signings are going to go. Like we went the other way. We bought the finished article in Lukaku and see how that worked out. So
true. Yeah,
and on top of all of that, his dad is Rory Delap, so he's got a long one, and his throw probably isn't bad either.
He's got Diego Costa unpredictability. We know that, and he's raw. He's got emotion. That's good, and potential recklessness. Of course, people are going to point out. I think I like you said, Maresca knows him. I'm confident there. I think he could be our Haaland if Haaland grew up on Red Bull and elbowing people, I suppose. Yeah.
I really like what you said, where you said Haaland but more feral.
Yeah.
Really made me chuckle.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. There's a little scout report for you, listener. But talking of reports, midweek match report for the final time in this first half of a double season, because Chelsea took on Real Betis in the Conference League final. Chelsea's Conference League final was a tale of two halves. The first half, disaster. Second half, domination. Real Betis, led by Isco, going full magician, dancing through Chelsea early on. And Malo Gusto looked like he'd brought a fork to a soup fight. Then the halftime whistle hit. Enzo Maresca chowed his inner pep with hair and changed the game. Reece James came on. Cole Palmer got the keys to the car and Chelsea hit fifth gear. Palmer bagged two absolutely filthy assists. First for Enzo Fernandez, then Nicholas Jackson with an arm, elbow, shoulder. The badge, it doesn't matter, it counted as a goal. Then came the knockout punch. Dewsbury Hall steals a throw, finds Sancho, curls one in like it was prime Dortmund Jadon all over again. And just to flex our muscles, Moises Caicedo, fourth, just for good measure. Final score was Chelsea 4, Real Betis 1. The Blues complete the European trophy set, Champions League, Europa League, Cup Winners' Cup, and now the Conference League. First club ever to do that, and we're going to remind you every time we play a game. Oh, Real Betis 1, Chelsea 4. They say Spanish teams don't lose European finals. They do now. Losers and winners, because we're flipping it, because we've got to be positive. But of course, let's kick off with the losers this time, for probably one of the few times we've ever done that. Who have you got? How many have you got?
I've got 3 losers.
Ollie?
But I've got 5 winners.
Whoa! Oh my word! And I don't know where Ollie has gone silent on us at the moment, listener. Not sure why. He might have lost connection. He might be coming back.
Time difference.
Am I back?
Oh, he's back.
You are back, Ollie.
Ollie.
Right, I've got 2 losers, 4 winners.
I've got 2 losers, 3 winners. Chris, can you just tell Ollie, because he wasn't actually here when you said it, how many winners have you found?
5.
You found
Jesus
5.
Christ, Chris.
Whoa! The listeners, they're going to be typing away, going,
Chris.
What's
This is a
happened?
negative podcast. Haven't you heard? Didn't you get the
Fucking
memo,
hell.
Chris?
Wait.
Oh, sorry. I mean, none.
What a bell end. Right. First loser. I wonder if we all have him. I've got Malo Gusto.
He's on no doubt he had to be in there, didn't he?
I love him.
He's not on mine.
Wow.
It's a shock.
I love the guy. I do. But that first half, that was a horror show. And bless him. Look, I know he's out of position. Everyone said he was at fault for the goal. He was all over the place positionally. He looked completely lost playing as an inverted fullback. It's something he just can't do. He's like a fish on a bicycle. It doesn't make sense. And he got hooked at half time. And surprise, surprise, we immediately looked like an actual team again in the second half. Let him cook, but only in his natural position, because when he's an inverted fullback, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Boom, there's your one per show. Ollie, why was he a loser for you?
Well, it's like you said, Mikey. He was just an absolute disaster. I mean, in terms of Hall of Shame performances for Chelsea, that's got to be up there. And in a final, no less. I don't know if the occasion got the better of him. I don't know if Maresca was asking him to do something again that he simply couldn't do. But he looked every inch as uncomfortable this season as he has been in midfield in that game. Ultimately, he was at fault partially at least at fault for for Betis's opening goal. Made it very, very nervy, and he never really recovered from that all the way to halftime when he was ultimately hooked. So, yeah, I wonder if his days are numbered at Chelsea, because in this system, playing in this way, he simply cannot do it. He just can't.
I've got to say, Chris, before you jump in, I've got to say, can you guess the average he was getting in player rating? Now, for the record, every other player got a minimum of a 6.
3.2.
He got a 2. That was the average.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my, in a final, I'm like, oh, wow.
That is
painful.
Awful.
It's painful, that.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he wasn't on mine.
Okay.
Because he was terrible.
Mm.
But again, it's at a role we know he's shit at.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we keep persisting on doing it. And I know what people are saying, that he was out of position for the goal. No, he wasn't. He was exactly where he should be, inverted into the midfield. Enzo Fernandez gave away the ball in a shit position. Gusto had tucked in like he's meant to when we have the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They won possession and played it into the space that he's vacated, but he's vacated it not out of choice. That's what he's told to do. So he was out of position because he was following instructions. That's why he wasn't there. It was more, Enzo Fernandez was more at fault for the goal, in my opinion, than Gusto. You can't give the ball away there, especially when you know your fullbacks are coming inside. Of course, they're going to exploit that if you turn over the ball. So I think blaming him solely for the goal is a little bit harsh, but his overall performance, horrendous.
Right, Chris, he wasn't on your list, but who was?
The whole first half.
I've got that.
I thought about doing that, but I didn't.
Wow, yeah, I did. But go on, Chris.
It was another case of thinking, what? I don't understand this notion of let's play shit in the first half and then play really well in the second half. Why don't you just play really well for the whole game? Like, I don't know why we're trying to make it really difficult for ourselves, because first half we got away with it. Let's be fair. I don't think you could have complained if we went in at half time 2-0 down.
We should have been 2-0 down. Baddy Shield, who also was hooked at half time, by the way, and did not have a good game, made a crucial block near the end of the first half to stop it being 2-0 at half time.
And the thing is, I think if it's 2-0, I think it's game over. I don't think we come back from 2-0. And I just don't understand why we keep starting games so slowly. We keep having this first half where you're thinking they look like they don't know what they're doing. And then second half, it's like, well, they look like a completely different team. So I don't get it. I don't understand why our approach is let's start slowly and build into the game in the second half, because you can lose a game in the first half against better teams. The game can be over if you play that shit. Yeah. So it's a bizarre approach. I just thought, because first half we did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
There was no positives from the first half at all.
No,
my head was gone in the first half. I'll be honest. To be honest, I think my head was gone most of the game, especially because of the first half. It feels a bit like we're, they you know what they say, it's a game of two halves, but that's supposed to be like, a cliche, not an instruction.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, it was frustrating. It was flat. It was as fun as a rainy Tuesday in Stoke. Look, the 11 was wrong. Many fans questioned it. The tempo was wrong. Betis looked like they were on their fifth Red Bull of the night. Isco was like prime Zidane suddenly. And he's a good player. But surely he's 30 odd now. And you think, he can't be that good still. But Chelsea looked like you'd unplugged the controller. And it looked like they had extra players on the pitch, Betis. Because they were everywhere. And
they seemed like they wanted it more. And I think that was part of their strategy as well, was to attack us early, press high, win the ball back, see if they could do anything with it. And obviously they did go 1-0 up, so it really did make a difference. And their strategy was working. But I guess they just couldn't sustain it for the whole game.
I'd argue they dominated us for the first 20 minutes. It felt like that to me.
I think what it was as well is, I know there's been a lot of talk about we improved when we made our subs. I mean, we did, because, you take off your B team players and bring on your A team players. You would assume that you're only going to get better. I think the game really turned when they had to take their winger off.
I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah, the goal scorer.
Abdusamad Azazuli.
And Nuzi, whatever his name is,
I think the game really turned when they took him off, because he was causing us problems just by the fact that he was literally just standing in the space that was vacated by the right back, and that was causing us all sorts of problems. And then when they took him off, they didn't have the same sort of balance. So I think that's really where the game turned. But again, it was just the tactical approach is just bizarre.
Yeah, that's fair. How many losers have you got, Ollie, left? Because I've run out now.
I've just got the one left.
Right, you go for yours and then we'll go to Chris.
Some people might find this a bit harsh. I'm going to go with Enzo Maresca as my second loser.
Wow.
And the reason is probably a lot similar to a lot of the things we've actually already just said, because ultimately he picks the team, and in a final you start your best team. That's how it works. Levi Colwill, having the form in the form of his life at the moment in the back end of the season, didn't start. Reece James, club captain, probably one of, if not our best player, didn't start. Just throughout the whole team. And then it wasn't like the worst, it wasn't like a full Conference League B team side. Enzo and Caicedo were still in the middle. Jackson was up top. You got Palmer playing. But for me, just the choice to not go with your strongest possible lineup in any final, let alone a European final, is just straight up bizarre. And that's what we ended up seeing in the first half of that game, because we saw a Conference League level performance, when instead we needed a final performance, So like for me, it felt almost a bit like Maresca had been a bit naive and got it wrong. Now in the second half, obviously it's all turned around, it's all kicked on, and we'll get to that in winners because we've got a lot of winners to talk about.
Yes.
But for that first half specifically, if we are talking about losers, we are talking about negatives, you have to look at that and say, is it a bit naive? Because we went 1-0 down and we created nothing in the first half. We created that urgency that we then needed to come back into it and win in the second half. But Chris is right. We could have just blown them away from minute one.
Yeah. And it's I think it's fair as well to say that, because again, he's been getting a lot of praise again, and this seems to be happening a lot. When we're shit in the first half and then he takes off a player and brings on a better player, everyone goes, oh, well, tactically he got it right second half. Stop getting it wrong.
Because it's not a difficult mistake to make, and he's made it a lot this season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think managers who are constantly getting praised for being shit and then making changes that make the team better during a game, just stop getting it wrong in the first place.
Yeah. You make a strong point. You do. Chris, 2 left. Come on.
I've got Anthony.
Yes.
Absolutely fucking dreadful.
I loved how he switched at the end and was like, I'm just going to attack people instead.
Do you know what? It was another case of that's why he's left the Premier League.
Yeah.
Because he can't cope with the Premier League. Cucurella completely locked him up.
Yeah, Cucurella emptied his pockets at home and found him.
Yeah.
And then I also have Adrian. Because
my God.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing with the Enzo Fernandez header, which does change the game, doesn't it? The equaliser is the big goal in the game.
It's the catalyst for sure, and he could be saving that, no doubt. I don't know if anyone's seen like the slow motion close up replay of it. It goes under his arm, and it hits
it's
his
so
elbow
bad.
almost.
That was like
He had so much space to get there. Like I've never seen a save in a final that poor. Like an actual save that's not a mistake, like straight up.
Yeah, 100%. Right, I'm gonna because Chris has so many winners. I'm gonna let Chris kick us off with winners.
Wow, Cole Palmer.
You know what? He's on mine. He's on mine for this.
Interesting way to carry your trophy there.
Got no pockets, or
got no pockets. Got no pockets.
Everything he says becomes a meme, doesn't it?
I know. Ask the captain.
Now, what I will say though is, for a large portion of this game, he was anonymous.
Yep.
But then, what happened was, do you know where he went?
On
the right hand side, and he absolutely killed them. As the minute he went over to that right hand side, Betis couldn't cope, and he looked so at home there and like he knew what he was doing. Because I think people have forgot with Palmer as well that he is still relatively young, so he's still developing as well. So he's looked uncomfortable, I think, in most of the positions that he's been playing this season. The areas that he occupies, he doesn't look comfortable there. It looks like he's thinking all the time. The minute he went over to that right hand side, he went back to playing on instinct, and he absolutely killed them. The 2 balls into the box for the first 2 goals, are unbelievable. The first one especially is Fabregas-esque. It's that good of a pass.
It is good.
And yes, he didn't have a great game, but big players turn up in big moments, and he completely changed the game the minute he went out to that right-hand side.
Yeah, player of the match for me. Two delicious assists. One absolute world-class deadpan interview. So if you ever doubted him during his dip in form, just take a seat, rewatch that second half, because Chris has just said, I mean, the two crosses were just art gallery material. First half, it was a crayon drawing you'd hide from mum. Second half, just put it in the gallery, put it in the Louvre. It was beautiful. And he didn't show up. He delivered in a final. That's more than just showing up for me, because that's what big players do on big nights. That literally, there's people that criticize Drogba. Okay, you can criticize him. However, the one thing you cannot ever say about that man is he didn't turn up in a final, because that was literally his home. You could literally just sign him for cup finals, and you would have already the advantage. You'd have a 2-goal advantage, it felt like, when you had Drogba starting in a final. And that Parma level, if Parma drops that level in cup finals, we'll already be having a 2-goal advantage, because he was outstanding.
Absolutely he's got that same gene, doesn't he? He's like, right, it's a final now, I've got to turn up. And I've been critical at times of Palmer this season, because he's looked a bit lackadaisical. He's looked a bit like he's not always bothered. I think it's more just his body language than anything else, and it's the fatigue on his body and things like that. But when he went out to the right and he started, doing his thing, it was just like, it sounds so silly to say for a kid so young, but it was vintage Cole Palmer. It was exactly what you wanted to see from him. And but at the same time, why are we surprised? This is Cole Palmer. He's got something like 5 goals and assists, like 5-goal contributions in 5 finals, right? One of which international semi-final with England. Obviously, a couple won the Super Cup, didn't he? With scored for Man City when they won that. Obviously now he's done this for us as well. And he is a phenomenal player, and we are so lucky to have him. But please, for the love of God, put him on the right. Put him on the right where he can thrive and absolutely tear teams apart. Because if you put him there, no one can cope with him. Nobody.
It's almost evidence that his dip in form has been down to how he's being used. Because he had, 10 minutes on that right-hand side and won us the game in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. I think we all had him on the list, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So, Chris, you had 5. Oh, give me a 4th.
I've got Reece James.
Yeah, he's on mine as well.
I've got him mainly. I mean, obviously he improved us, but again, shock horror, bring on a better player and your team gets better. For what I've heard afterwards about Reece James, about the leadership that he showed, about how the reporters could hear him in the dressing room, geeing the players up at halftime, how he reacted to being on the bench and how disappointed he was, how he spoke after the game. He's almost risen to that questioning of his leadership from Maresca this season. And I think he showed in this game that he is developing into the leader that this team does need.
I'm fully with you, Chris, because not only did he come on and he changed the game in terms of his quality, but his leadership was such an important element of it. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he apparently said to Maresca, "Put me on the pitch and I will win you the game."
Yeah, I did read that.
That is standing on business. That is exactly what you need to do as a captain. That's what you need to do as a leader. And in a final as well. I know it's the Conference League. Everyone can say it's the Mickey Mouse Trophy that we were all expected to win and we were supposed to win, but you've still got to win it. And not only did Reece James change the game, he stood on business, said he would, and did it.
Yeah. I'm absolutely pissed at this attitude. I'm sick. Mainly rival fans, of course, jealousy. It's what happens when you're successful. The thing is, you can say, "Oh, you should have won it," but winning it is a different thing. You can say you should have won. Man City, technically on paper, should have won the quadruple for at least back to back years, because they're the most. They're the best team, technically.
Yeah,
but they didn't, because it doesn't work like that.
Spurs were in the Conference League, wasn't it, a couple of seasons ago? Didn't get out of the group.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not suggesting we're on the
that's
same level as
Spurs all
them.
over.
Very
Yeah, that's
Spursy.
Spurs all over, isn't it? But like, that's the point. Even if when you're expected to win it, you don't always. And every time it's Chelsea heritage, it's Chelsea DNA. When we're expected to win, we do. Europa League in 2013, Europa League in 2019, Conference League in 2025.
Yeah. I've got, you know what? I'll go with my first winner. Well, technically second because I've already had Parma. I've got Chelsea's 2024-25 season. It was a winner against Nottingham Forest. It's a winner again now in Poland. And now we're European winners, the only club in history to complete the set, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Cup Winners' Cup, which no one else can get now, and a Conference League. It's the full infinity gauntlet of trophies. And we've got now more European silverware variety than your mismatched cutlery drawer. So that's a bonus. And I'm genuinely buzzing. I was so happy. I mean, I watched the final with my girlfriend and my emotions did the full roller coaster. The first half, nervous wreck, frustrated, factory of sadness. Second half, arms in the air, full we're back energy. This is why I'll change it. But also I love football, love sport. Because it can slap you down, but it can lift you higher than Pete Drogba did in Munich. It was amazing. I was so happy. I was happy on Sunday and I was happy on Wednesday evening. We've secured Champions League football this season. We've lifted a trophy. Call it for what it is. The 24-25 season was a massive success for Chelsea.
I couldn't agree more, Mikey. I think at the start of the season, what did we all say? We needed top four. We needed to win the Conference League. Top four and a trophy. That's what, at minimum, is what everyone says. And we delivered. There's maybe you could say something about the domestic cups. Maybe we could have done better in the league. But I think given where we were the year before, and certainly the year before that, we're continuing to build on this success and build that momentum. And it's really important now that we do it again next season. The hard work, in effect, actually starts now.
Yeah. And I'm just, look, I predicted where I'd put Chelsea. I was wrong. And I know people have said, but you'd have been happy if we... No, I don't want us to fail. I never want us to fail. I just predicted, I would never have predicted Man United and Spurs to be that bad, but they suck. I mean, Man United lost to an all-star team of part-time players. So it's like, what? But mad. I'm buzzing. I'm so happy. Chris, another winner, please.
Enzo Fernandez.
Nice.
Another one where I don't think he was having his best game, and I thought first half especially, and as I've already said, was at fault for the Betis goal. But he has turned up this season, and he has scored some really, really important goals in big moments and big games when we've needed someone to step up and score. He has delivered on that, and he did it again. Yes, the keeper should have saved the header, but he forgot what his arms were for.
But he was the only one there, wasn't he?
And again, it's a good run into the box. He's got the header on target. He's asked the question, and you don't win the raffle if you don't buy a ticket. He's made the run. He's got a header on target. It's gone in, and it's completely changed the game. And I thought after his goal, I thought he was actually really good. Then it's like he gave him the confidence boost, and then his passing was crisper and his touches was better. Another one who's almost on a redemption arc. He's done the Kukurea. He was awful. He wasn't delivering this season. Again, start of the season didn't start in blistering form, as grew as the season's gone on. But he is now undoubtedly one of our most important players.
100%.
And I think he's still got the boots to go up a level as well. He can go up another level and maybe another level above that. And I think if he goes up one more level, I think you'll start to see the conversations around, was he worth the money that we're having about Carousel, where we say undoubtedly yes he was. And for Enzo to actually, like you say, Chris, that redemption arc is so important, given that, a season ago, half of us on this podcast were saying, if you sold him for a packet of Monster Munch and a Twix, we'd think we'd got a good deal. So, for him to do that is so important for the club.
How many levels does this man have? He's like a hotel. How many levels? Oh, right. I've only got one winner left. So it's who's got the most left?
I've got two left.
Chris?
I also have two left.
You know what? I'll let you two go first. I'll go Chris. who's one of your two winners?
I've got Nicholas Jackson.
Okay.
And I've got him on there.
Jackson.
Right. Let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, that touch on that one-on-one is one of the worst touches I've ever seen in football.
It's like, you think, what? Like, do you have tungsten boots or something?
I had a tantrum. Honestly, my girlfriend will vouch for it. When he did that and he got through one-on-one, she was like, he's going to pass it. And I was like, go on. Oh, what are you doing? I just had I couldn't believe he did it. I was like, what were you doing? You kicked it, man.
The fact that he faked the injury afterwards briefly as well really made me laugh.
And there's no getting away from that. Was it an outstanding performance from him? No. But he did what you want your striker to do in a final. He had one chance and he put it away. Yeah, it went in off his sort of half his face, half his shoulder, half his chest. But
that was off the badge.
If you actually watch the goal back, his movement inside the box is actually really good. He starts in an offside position and then he comes back onside, moves away from the defender to then come back across him to get in front. His movement to get on the end of the cross is really good centre forward movement. And I think you get your rewards for that. He's moved well. He's gambled on the cross coming into the box. So he's got a bit of luck with the finish. But again, you want your striker to score goals in big games, and he's done that. So, yes, it wasn't a perfect game, but finals are won in moments. So I think you have to give players who step up in those moments credit.
Yeah. Do you know what I think partially is? I think Palmer was just fed up with him. He was trying to ping it at his head, and it went in.
Possible.
If I hit him, he can't miss.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Ollie, who's one of your two remaining?
So one of my winners is leadership. Because, obviously not only did we go in at half time and we talked about Reece James and everything that he managed to do, standing on business, put me in the final, saying, put me in, coach. And but I also wanted to highlight someone else we've already mentioned is Enzo Fernandez. Because between those two, and maybe a little bit Cucurella as well, they are the beating heart and soul of this club, of this team. They were the ones who actually pushing everyone forward. The second Enzo scored, who did he go straight to? Reece James. Those two know a thing or two about winning some trophies. One of them's won the World Cup, one of them's won the Champions League. Yeah. So the fact they went to each other, they were G'ing each other up, getting each other organised, trying to then organise everybody else. That's what you need. Because in fairness, a captain's job is really hard, and you can't do it by yourself. That's why a vice captain exists. It's why these kind of multi-captain systems of players who are leaders in teams exist. And those two together dragged us towards the win that we needed in that final.
100%. 100%. I've got my final winner. Might be on all your lists. I've got Enzo Maresca.
He's on mine.
He's on mine as well.
Oh, lovely. Well, way to close it out. I've got the man, the myth, the halftime whisperer. Because, look, the first 45 minutes was a bit of tactical acid trip. There was no Carwell, no Tosin. Gusto was doing his best impression of a lost tourist trying to play inverted fullback. We know he can't do it. Maresca, but you know what? This is why he's a winner. Also, because he just managed a winning European team. He swallowed that pride. He fixed it. And he brought on Reece James to, he slapped that tactical etch-a-sketch clean and was like, we'll do this. And the second half was total domination. Isco went from Gandalf in the first half to Gollum. Betis looked like they had 16 men on the pitch, as I said before halftime, after maybe 6. Maresca changed that game and brought home our first trophy since Tuchel. And not only that, look at the season again. I'll touch on the 24-25 overall. Top 4, tick. European silverware, tick. And now it's over to the sporting directors. You've got to back him. Give him the players to suit the system. I said this on Monday. I'm saying it again. We can't keep doing the whole, we'll parachute a manager in and then moan because the players he's got don't fit his system. No. You have to buy for that manager's system because this is what we're doing. We're doing the long-term project thing with the manager. I'm fine with that as long as you back the manager with the players that fit his bloody system.
Yeah, no doubt, Mikey. And do you know what I liked about Maresca's thing? Like, as much as we did say earlier, you have to, stop getting it wrong if you want to get it right in the first place. But obviously Maresca's a disciple of Pep, isn't he? And Pep did this too. But when Pep did this in finals, he'd overthink it, he'd play it a bit differently, a bit odd, and then he'd lose it. And Maresca, for all of his faults, and there are some, managed to, and he's done something he's done quite a lot this season. As much as we do say, if plan A doesn't work, do plan A better, he does identify the problems. Always at halftime, you always do see a tweak, a change, something different when things aren't going our way. And to our credit, most of the time that makes a difference. And it really, really made a difference in this final where you want it to make a difference the most. So he can't really do much more. And to be fair to Maresca as well, he's another one who stood on business. He's out there, he sat there after we got top four and he said, F off to all of them who said that, we wouldn't do it. And then not only that, he's gone and slapped Betis in the final 4-1. So, what more do you really want? You have to give him his flowers, don't you? He has to be here next season.
Well, without a doubt. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, again, the one thing I do have respect for him for is he'll make changes at halftime. If you're not good enough, he brings you off. And that is a strong mentality to have as a coach because it's not always easy. The temptation is always, let's have a word with the player, let's tweak what they're doing, give them 10 minutes of the second half. But he does it a lot. If players aren't good enough in the first half, he just takes them off, which I do think sends a good message. He's done what he was asked to do. He got us back in the Champions League and he won the one trophy that everyone said he had to win, which is a lot of pressure sometimes when
first job at a big club as well,
Yeah, when you're almost being told that you can't lose this cup, it's almost more impressive to go and win it in a way than, the FA Cup. No one's saying, oh, you have to win the FA Cup because everyone knows that there's going to be other good teams in there. So the pressure of this was, can you manage the squad properly? And can you not have a fuck up like Villa did against Olympiacos? So he's navigated that well. I can hear people already now saying, oh, you owe him an apology. I don't owe him an apology. And I don't owe him an apology because he's still got a lot of things wrong. And I'm still not massively convinced that he's the right person. But what winning a trophy does do, as we've seen with Arteta at Arsenal, is it buys you time. And then maybe over that time, he will improve, the players will improve, and hopefully these fuckwit sporting directors will give him some players who will also help rather than just come in and be exactly the same as what we've already got. If we have a good summer in terms of recruitment, I will be more optimistic going into next season that he's going to have learned from his mistakes of this season. I just hope he isn't too stubborn because I don't think our results have been great, but I don't think our performances are sustainable in terms of getting results. He's also in there for afterwards his comment saying, I think the over celebrating against Nottingham Forest is why we started the final too slowly. So for all them people saying we wasn't over celebrating, there you go. Even Maresca's saying that we shouldn't have over celebrated.
There you go. Enzo, Maresca and Chris, actually two minds, same body,
I honestly, when I read that, I did smirk so much. I'm like, there is no way that's not going to get mentioned. Right, for the final time this season, emojis we're going to drop. I went with the trophy emoji because this is our first under new ownership and I have missed that feeling. I have missed seeing the Chelsea badge on the board behind a trophy lift. Oh, amazing.
I was going to go with the trophy emoji, but I figured someone else would do it. So I'm actually going to go with the merry-go-round emoji because that fidget spinner Anthony has shown what a real footballer is.
Chris, what about you?
I'm going to go with the number 4 because we have won all 4 major European honours now.
Ooh, I like that.
I love how they go.
I don't think another club will do it. Mainly because I don't think another team of that ilk will be in this competition. But I don't think another club will do it.
I also say that because you can't win the Cup Winners' Cup anymore.
Yeah,
that's very true.
And it
I
limits.
have a quick question for you guys before we go on to the final stuff of the episode. I don't know about you, but I'm really struggling now to judge what the expectations of next season should be.
I would say the title.
Yeah, well, like, to be fair, some people will be saying that. Like, some people will be saying we need a title charge. Some people will be saying we need to show a good account of ourselves in the Cups, for example, and in the Champions League and in the Cup Winners' Cup as well. Sorry, the Club World Cup that's coming up as well. Double season and all that. So, like, I don't know. I just wanted to hear. I know it's really early to be talking about expectations for next season, but what are your thoughts on that?
This will change based on our recruitment. Sure. But as we sit here today, I still think it's too early for a title challenge. Again, I just don't think the players in the squad are consistent enough. I don't think there's enough of those core players that you need to win a title. And I still don't think Maresca's a title winning level coach.
Yes.
But I think we either have to do something significant in the Champions League in terms of semi-finals.
Wow.
Or we have to win a domestic cup.
Okay.
Because this winning a trophy is brilliant, and I think it was so important for this squad to get that feeling of winning a trophy and what it takes to do it, and almost catch that feeling of I want to do this again. But in the grand scheme of things, it is a relatively insignificant trophy. I think we have to build on it, and you have to go and win Carabao Cup, FA Cup. You have to go and do something that shows, okay, next season we might finish fourth again, fine. But we've also won the FA Cup. So it shows that this group is still evolving. I think if we went back to next season and you got knocked out relatively early in the Champions League, we don't win a domestic cup and you just finish fourth again, it's almost a step backwards again.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Chris. I feel like we need to show a good account of ourselves almost across the board. You know, every single competition we're in, if we don't win it, which, obviously there are a lot of good teams in a lot of those competitions, we've got to go deep. We've got to do something, we've got to be showing that we're ready now to build on this success with pushing harder, faster, more as the team develops and grows. I'm not convinced necessarily we even will win a trophy next season. I think it'll be partially to do with the recruitment. I think it'll be partially to do with a lot of other factors as well. Maybe if Mudryk comes back, for example. That was a joke. But I think we've got to, across the board, we have to be looking like we're going to compete, I think.
Yeah.
There's only one club who have got 3 of the 4 trophies, as in they have the Cup Winners' Cup, Champions League and Europa League. Nobody else comes close, and it's Manchester United. Now, they could actually get into the Conference League.
They could get in the Conference League.
They really could.
They wouldn't win it, though.
No, they wouldn't. They really wouldn't.
The thing is, though, as well about next season is it's a bit like what we said about the women's team last summer. Obviously, cup competitions, it's all based on the draw, isn't it? Like, we could draw Liverpool at Anfield quite early on, FA Cup third round. And then you're thinking, well, that's a bit unfair. That's unlucky for us. So then, okay, maybe you did get knocked out of the competition early, and then you get a shit draw in the Carabao Cup. I think more importantly, it would be if we're going to finish top 4 and we're not going to compete for the league, finish top 4 comfortably. Don't go to the final day needing to win or relying on other results. If you're going to be in the top 4, get in there. We can't keep having this weird thing where it's almost like we wait until the last 5 games of the season to play. We did it this year. We did it last year. It's like it's a 38-game season, lads. Could you try playing for more than just the last 5 games?
Yeah. I mean, what did we get this season? Was it 69 points in the end?
Yeah.
Nice. I think I would want to see 75 minimum next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the end of that. We've got Lion of the Week to check out our final midweek picks. I should have picked Palmer. I went with Enzo Fernandez in the end, which isn't bad. Chris had Cucurella, and the wheel went with Jorgensen, which I think
you win that one, Mikey.
I think just did it. I just did it, even though I should have really stuck to my guns and gone Palmer. Palmer is, of course, the actual lion because he turned it on its head. Chris, we already found out Monday won our overall lion of the week. I got 10 on the end. I'll take that. 10.
How many did I get in the end?
You got 9. So not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah.
I don't.
Chris, well done, mate.
Chris and I shared it once. So I got, hang on. I was on 11 and 13. Hang on. That's Chris. Chris then shared it with the wheel. No, he shared it with you. So you got 10 in the end, Ollie.
Oh, nice.
You shared it with, hang on. 11. Because you shared it with the wheel. Oh, yeah, you got 11. I got 11, I think. Yes, I got 11.
Do you know what? I think that shows that we all equally know very little.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
I think Chris basically won, but just. The overall lion of the week for the year. Well done, Moises Caicedo. Never in doubt, my friend. You were miles clear. Cole Palmer got second place with 6. Who got third? I think it was
surely maybe
Rob Sanchez.
Wait, Rob Sanchez.
Hang on, it was
Because
shared.
he did say this in a few.
Shared between Enzo and Rob Sanchez on 4. Bloody hell, who'd have thought that?
Do you know what? As well, here's something. Since Rob Sanchez has been brought up, I do think people do get carried away with things, don't they? Jadon Sancho scored a lovely goal yesterday.
Yeah,
Brilliant
really
goal.
important goal as well. You know, put the game outside.
And then I've heard people going, yeah, paid a 25 million for him. He scored 1 goal. Just calm down.
You know, it's
because before this game, everyone was saying sell him. And Robert Sanchez has been the same. I don't know whether you guys have seen this as well, but I've seen people mainly on TikTok saying, actually, maybe we don't need a new keeper because Sanchez has been performing well at the back end of the season. No, he's still shit.
I don't know. I think he might already be better than Buffon. I think it's there. Clip it. Right, you saying Sancho. Oh, yes. Ben Jacobs. Chelsea are in talks with Jadon Sancho over a new deal that would see them trigger an obligation to buy 25 million. Club preferences for Sancho to stay and adjust his wage to fit within the Chelsea incentive-driven structure. Discussions don't yet guarantee Sancho will remain, but reveal a willingness to find a solution. Well, hello.
I think it because he'll need a reasonably significant pay cut, won't he?
Does he want to go back to Manchester? Do you really want to do that? Think about that, my friend. Think about it.
Do you know what's funny about the Sanchez situation?
Do you really want to do that?
Do you?
The funny thing is with the Sanchez situation, though, is I think a lot of us don't care either way. Like, no one's going to be massively annoyed if he stays. No one's going to be massively arsed if he goes. It's a good position to be in. Like, no one really cares either way.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's low risk. It's not like the obligation to buy is like 50 million.
Yeah, which you wouldn't touch.
Right, Quaresma's questions. We've got No Lawsco with thoughts on Palmer's comments that he was tired of back passes before the first goal.
So let me jump into this because I got eaten alive on Twitter today. Because I saw those comments as well and immediately thought, well, he's clearly having a go at the manager then, isn't he? Like, he's saying the structure doesn't work for him, etc., etc. And then, because I didn't see the whole interview, I jumped in without the context and said that, and I was swiftly corrected.
Naive, Ollie.
Swiftly corrected because... And to be fair, I can see the argument where people are saying he was actually saying it more in terms of how the team was playing. The team itself was playing too timidly. We weren't willing to go forward and try things and have a go. And can you say that's partially on the manager's approach? Maybe. But also, I think it's not a dig at the manager like I thought it was initially.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. I'm fully with you.
Yeah. It's a risky comment to make, though.
Of course. Yeah, it was risky. I was like, Logan, was Chris happy or sad when we were 1-0 down?
Oh, come on. Come off it.
I was sad. So I can't imagine him sit. People, I'm defending Chris here. Chris does not sit there when we go 2-0 down and go, that's it. It's what I wanted. I'm going to write this as that. He doesn't do. He wants us to bloody win. He does.
Honestly. Some people think that any negativity whatsoever means that, like, you know, you can never want happiness for anything. And it's just like, come on, have the day off. The man's just got standards. Leave him alone.
And it's ironic that our 2 most listened to episodes are when we drop points to Ipswich Town. It's just so we didn't win them games.
World class.
Madness. Josh, spot on. Are we really going to act like that first half wasn't fucking atrocious? No, we're not. It was shit. Blue is the colour pod asked if we're going to keep Sancho. Well, we've just said about that. Do you think Chelsea? Oh, G Payne. Finally, do you think Chelsea turned it up, or Betis just ran out of steam?
Bit of both.
Yeah,
Bit of both.
Bit of both. It's a bit of both.
Really dropped off after about 60 minutes, but also that is when we scored. So
I think I think it might have been Joe Cole after the game. I think summed it up where this game really showed the difference between the Premier League and La Liga. Because going into it, you're looking at fourth best team in the Premier League and sixth best team in La Liga. Should be quite a close game. But when you look at the players we brought off the bench and then you look at the players they brought off the bench, you think, fuck me, there's a massive gulf in money here. Yeah. And I think that just shows now that's what it was. I think the minute we got that first goal, we were there was only ever going to be one winner in the game because they'd exhausted their best and the subs they was bringing on was never going to change the game like ours did.
100%. It's like when Bournemouth bought Evanilson. He's just like, what? How can they do
it's
that?
Like, you know, when you see like the Betis fans at the end upset, and it reminded me of in this competition we was almost like imagine like me or you or Ollie, we've got a dream car we want to buy. And we've saved up enough money to buy this car at an auction. And we're there and we've bid and we've gone, right, we've bid the amount, we're going to get the car. And then a millionaire walks in and just adds $1,000 on, takes the car and fucks off. That was us in this competition.
Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? You do feel a bit like a flat track bully in a competition like this. But at the same time, game's the game.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta play it.
We did what we did. Yeah, 100%. Well, it's time. Lone Army Carousel. We haven't done one in a while because it's just been Chris and I. Well, today
Ollie, just be aware, Ollie, that I'm on like a 4 win streak because I've been the only one here. So I've won by default.
Do you know what's ironic?
In a row.
You can tell that the last time that we played, it was the 15th of May, and Ollie was the winner. We've only played Lone Army once in May. What? I mean, what happened there? Right. Anyway, today's category is FA Cup captains, because to captain a team to victory in the FA Cup final at Wembley is a dream every football fan's had as a youngster. But I want you to name every player to have done it since 1990. I didn't want to go too far back because that's advantage, Chris. So we'll go 1990. 27 names on this list, as my brain works that out. Yeah, because players have done it more than once. So I will go. Ollie's defending champ. Ollie, give me a captain since 1990 to have won the FA Cup.
John Terry.
John Terry for Chelsea in 07, 09, 2010, 2012.
Frank Lampard.
No.
It's a bold choice. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bold, that, wasn't it?
Fucking hell. Right, Ollie's on a 2-game winning streak. That was pretty over. There you go, listeners. There you bit. No. Right, can you name some others?
Yeah, Rio Ferdinand, right? Surely.
No.
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 Vincent Kompany.
Vincent Kompany, 2019 with City.
Who's Palace's
Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes, 2024.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gahey.
Yeah, this season.
What up? My document just disappeared. Yes, Mark Gahey's on there.
Kasper Schmeichel.
Kasper Schmeichel.
Tony Adams.
Oh, hang on, my spreadsheet's gone again. 2021 with Leicester. Tony Adams, 93, 98, 2002.
Aubameyang. I'm thinking of all the times we've lost the final.
2020.
Gerrard.
Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, Gerrard.
Yes, 2006.
Rooney.
Wayne Rooney in 2016. Man United, of course.
Started strong.
Patrick Vieira.
Yes, 2005.
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane in 99 and 2004.
I'm struggling now. Really struggling.
Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce is indeed on here till 1994.
De Bruyne?
De Bruyne, let me just check. Kevin is not on there. There is a City captain left, though.
Yeah, I was trying to guess who that was. Was it Gundogan, maybe?
Gundogan is on there, 2023. The other one, I didn't know he was the captain.
Carlos Tevez.
Yeah, 2011. I don't remember that.
Jesus.
That's when City liked him. Dennis Wise.
Dennis Wise is on here 97 and 2000.
Shearer?
No.
Cantona?
Eric Cantona, 96.
I'm really struggling with the Man United captains. That's so many.
That's all I'm thinking of.
Scholes?
Scholes, let me just check. No.
Brian Robson?
Brian Robson won it in 1990.
Nice.
I'll give you the teams. So you got Everton in 95. No way you'll get this.
Don't know that.
Dave Watson.
Don't even know who that is.
No,
Do you not?
idea.
Oh, fuck's sake. Arsenal, 2003.
Arsenal 03.
Yeah.
Arsenal 03. Who was counting in 03 that wasn't Vieira?
David Seaman?
David Seaman. Wigan,
well done,
2013.
Wigan 2013.
Oh, Jesus. Was it
Streets won't forget him.
Windass?
No. It was Emerson Boyce.
No,
What
the
player?
streets have forgot him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Everyone has forgot him.
Spurs, I'm going to tell you, it was Gary Mabbott. I've never heard of him. Sorry, 91. Chelsea did it in 2018, Chris. And who lifted the trophy?
See, that's when I thought it might have been.
No.
That's when I thought it might have been Lampard.
Literally friend of the show. He tweeted us.
Gary Cahill.
Gary Cahill.
Cahill.
2022 was Liverpool. That's easy.
Jordan Henderson.
Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, Henderson, of course.
1992 for Liverpool. I think this guy's a DJ.
No chance.
I think he is. I'm going to check. Mark Wright. He was a DJ, wasn't he? Not the
I
same
thought he was
person. Not the same
I thought he was
person.
he was the one from that reality show, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, Mark Wright in 1992 lifted. He was if it's that guy from The Only Way Is Essex, where he lifted it for Liverpool. He was
That's so funny. Only way is Essex and an FA Cup.
Youngest ever captain at 5 years old. 2014 for Arsenal. Now this is a classic. Don't overthink it.
Koscielny?
2014, 11 years ago. This person, midfielder. Don't overthink it.
Midfielder.
The only one I can think of for some reason is Coquelin.
No.
2014.
2014. It's so.
Alex Song?
No. There's another Arsenal player who did it in 2015, 2017 separately. Defender he is. Very tall man. Mertesacker for that one. The 2014 one is so easy when you think about it because it's a stat that he won it as a player and a manager.
You know, Mikey, it's
Arteta.
Really... Yes.
I was going to say, it's really easy when you can read it off your screen.
That is true. Very easy. 2001 for Liverpool and 2008 for Portsmouth are left.
2001 for Liverpool. Jamie Carragher?
No. Former
Sammy
Brighton
Upia.
manager. Yes.
Nice.
And
what was it?
Pompey.
Sol Campbell.
There we go. Clean sweep, sort of. Right. Listeners,
I've ever played.
It's over in minutes. Easy for me because I've got it in front of me. But listeners, we're at the end of another episode. Before we go, perhaps remind you about our partnership Head in the Game, mental health charity using football, sport, wellbeing, and community. Check them out at headinthegame.co.uk. We've got the listener survey, of course, and we will be back on Monday. So treat yourself well. We've got our end of season award show. So till next time, that will be us signing off.
You've been listening to At The Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for At The Bridge Pod. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving us a review is always appreciated.